Now at 9, a Joplin mother speaks out after a man tried to kidnap her child at last week's Third Thursday event. Plus, how Missouri marijuana growers are now struggling to keep up with demand. And KOAM hosts an event letting people swap out their old flags for new ones.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. The mother of the child who police say was almost kidnapped at Joplin's Third Thursday speaks out. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to the mom about the terrifying incident.
Your heart drops to your stomach, and it's absolutely terrifying.
Third Thursday gets residents out and about downtown Joplin. Police say that last Third Thursday, Johnny L. Arhart tried to take a child in broad daylight.
I yelled, "Hey, that's my daughter," and then I yelled at my husband, "Hey, he's trying to take our daughter." There were a lot of bystanders, even other vendors, that jumped out of their trucks and they ran with me towards him. And as soon as he saw us running towards him, he put her down, thankfully.
This isn't Johnny Arhart's first run-in with the law. In February 2012, he was convicted of first-degree theft and sentenced to a treatment center. And in January 2023, he was charged with tampering with a motor vehicle. And at last Third Thursday, it was the bystanders who stopped him.
Step up and intervene in a situation like that. We can't be more thankful. And
the man who attempted to kidnap a child, Johnny L. Arhart, is allegedly homeless. This situation has caused some residents to question Joplin's public safety, even at street festivals.
Not only the police, but it creates a public safety issue when they just keep getting out, especially when you have someone that, as a school teacher, it's dangerous to have people who target children on the street.
Evans is passionate about public safety because of his experience.
Where somebody had approached me when we were trying to put my kids into the minivan. And so when that happened, I was a little concerned about what was going on in Joplin because I heard a lot of cases of it happening, different people being approached.
As of now, the McGehee family runs a nonprofit for grieving families experiencing child loss. The parents are planning to attend Arhart's bond hearing.
But it's especially traumatic for us and our family because we lost our first daughter at full term. So we know that feeling of losing a child.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Kayla McGehee says since the attempted kidnapping, her child is somber and still processing the situation. Arhart is scheduled to be in court tomorrow for a bond reduction hearing. Chief Meteorologist Doug Cady joins us with the first look of the weather.
Well, it's definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. We've had those cumulus clouds popping up once again during the afternoon. We've been tracking some showers and thunderstorms out across northern parts of Oklahoma, but that's pretty much where they are sticking, and that's what we're going to see as we go through the evening hours. Look at our temperatures as we fall back through the evening, mid-60s. This is going to be 11 p.m. I do want to show you back to the east. A few isolated thunderstorms over towards Springfield. So we can't rule out 1 or 2 isolated little thunderstorms get in here late tonight, but overall, I think it's going to be pretty quiet. 11 p.m., 65, 64 by 7 a.m. We are going to get some scattered thunderstorms, hit and miss for us tomorrow. So of course, we're going to break that all down for you here in just a little bit.
Cherokee County, Kansas residents will have to find a new place to take care of driver's license issues. The county treasurer's office announced it will be permanently closing the driver's license station on June 9th. Officials say the reason behind the closure is that they've had trouble keeping employees to operate the system. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment announces the Kansas Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program is increasing its benefits. It's increasing the value of coupons for low-income seniors from $35 to $50. The coupons are given out on a first-come, first-served basis. Seniors can apply at local distribution agencies between June 1st and September 15th. Coupons can be redeemed from authorized vendors at participating farmers markets. Missouri's new marijuana industry has already produced more than $1 billion in sales. It's happened just 3 years after medical marijuana became available and just 3 months ago since recreational pot went legal. And as Joe Hickman reports, those who grow the product are now facing a challenge: keeping up the demand.
Of the 38 states that have medical marijuana and the 22 states that have legalized recreational pot,
Missouri, they tell us, is the fastest growing medical adult use state that's rolled out yet.
And when people visit a dispensary with all its smokable and non-smokable products infused with marijuana, it does take some getting used to.
I thought I would never see the day. We hear that phrase quite a lot. They are just absolutely floored by the amount of things that are in here.
This billion-dollar industry starts with cultivation facilities, like this long building 2 miles north of Humansville along Highway 13 in the middle of farm country. Flora Farms is part of a new industry that can be
Scary some days.
because it's hard to keep up with the growth.
For our clients, we sell out everything we can grow every week. And that's why we and other cultivators are expanding.
Another 65,000 square feet of space will be added to the 120,000 square feet of the warehouse that's already here, where it takes over 200 employees to get the product from start to finish. It begins with mother plants, 60 to 70 different strains, from which all the flower produced here comes from.
We will come in every 30 to 60 day basis and essentially give them a big haircut, what we call clones. We'll put them in these little 2-inch blocks, and they will stay in these for a couple of weeks until the plant starts rooting.
From there, the plants are moved to a flower room to grow.
The most important thing is changing the light cycle to 12 hours of dark, 12 hours of light. These plants are just like the ones we just saw, and they've been in here in flower for almost 2 months.
After they're grown, the plants are separated from the soil and allowed to dry and cure. Then they're trimmed and packaged. Marijuana users should be aware that there are many strains of pot that basically fall into 2 categories, sativa and indica.
So indica, you can think of it as indicouch. You're gonna end up a little bit sleepier, a little bit drowsier. Sativa is what's gonna give you a little bit of energy, being creative, being happy.
It takes about 3.5 months to grow a finished product, and Flora Farms uses its own irrigation system and has its own substation because of all the electricity they use. And if you're wondering why Humansville was chosen for the site,
When you applied for the license, if you were willing to locate in some of those higher unemployment areas, they added some bonus points to your application.
Cumulative marijuana sales in the state in February was more than $740 million in sales. In March, that grew to more than $870 million. April, more than $900 million. And now in May, it became a $1 billion industry. Dozens of people today swapped out their old, worn-down American flags for new, bright versions of Old Glory. KOAM hosted the flag swap at Jake's Fireworks in Pittsburgh. 200 people traded in old flags and 125 took home new ones. The American Legion is assisting us in properly retiring those traded in flags.
But I just think it's just important for people to remember how patriotic we all should be going into Memorial Day and the rest of the year, and how lucky we are to live in the United States. And it's just another opportunity to help share that with the community of Pittsburgh.
This was the only first flag swap we're hosting. You can find information about others at KOAMnewsnow.com/flag. Coming up, a strong message from the nation's top doctor.
A warning from the U.S. Surgeon General on the health impacts that social media is having on young people. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington with the latest on the new advisory coming up.
America's deadly drug epidemic is worse than ever. Preliminary data suggests 2022 was the deadliest year yet in the crisis. It's well known fentanyl is a major factor, now involved in nearly 2/3 of all overdose deaths in the U.S. But the data also suggests there are other underlying factors driving up deaths. For example, overdose deaths involving methamphetamine are rising at an even faster pace than those involving fentanyl. Deaths involving cocaine are also up, jumping 24% in both 2020 and 2021. The U.S. Surgeon General is blaming social media for driving a teen mental health crisis. Fox's Mike Emanuel is in Washington with the latest on a new advisory that went out today, warning of the negative impacts of social media on young people.
In a new advisory on the mental health impacts of social media, the U.S. Surgeon General warns using social media platforms present a, quote, profound risk of harm on younger populations.
What this advisory does is, number one, it helps parents understand what the data tells us about the mental health impact of social media on our kids. But it also calls to action policymakers, technology companies, researchers, and others, and lays out concrete actions that they can take.
According to the report, up to 95% of teens between ages 13 and 17 use a social media platform, with nearly a third saying they are engaging their devices almost constantly. The warning comes in the wake of another recent health advisory from the American Psychological Association that reported social media isn't inherently beneficial or harmful to young people, but can impact their offline lives.
There's actually some research saying that disrupted sleep because of social media use could change the size of adolescents' brains and how well they function.
The warnings come as rates of teenage depression have skyrocketed over the past decade, especially among girls.
You really can see a profound increase in anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and for some, a reduction in their body image.
The Surgeon General concluded policymakers should consider age restrictions and safety standards for social media, much like other U.S. regulations in place of monitoring a range of goods from medicine to cars. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Teenage girls were the most vulnerable to increase in mental health diagnosis during the pandemic. That's according to a study in JAMA Network. It found the most pronounced effect in the group was an uptick in eating disorders, more than double than before the pandemic. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, the Mount Vernon Mountaineers look to claim the Class II state softball championship. We'll have highlights.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us again today. Partly sunny skies, temperatures a little bit warmer, but also the allergies a little bit higher on a scale of 1 to 12. Today is a 9.3 out of 12. Tomorrow a little bit better just because we're going to get a few scattered thunderstorms, and that helps wash the atmosphere out just a little bit. Now, the main allergies that are affecting people right now is the grasses, the hickory, and the mulberry. So if you are an allergy sufferer, of course, these are going to stay kind of high as we go through the next few days. All right, great evening. We'll drop back to 65 by 11, 64 at 7 a.m. I think our overnight low right around 60. We may get a few scattered showers, a few scattered thunderstorms in here late morning on Wednesday, but we rebound right back to 74 degrees. But it's pretty quiet out there for us this evening. We do have those cumulus clouds that have been popping up. We can't rule out a random shower as we go through the night, but you can see all the bigger thunderstorms really from Wichita to Oklahoma City, and these are really going to hold fairly steady, meaning in this location most of the evening into the overnight hours for us tonight. But we do have a little bit of moisture eastern parts of Missouri, so we may get one or two stragglers that try to get in here a little bit later on tonight. But if we look at the picture as a whole, you can see this weak little twist in the upper level flow, and that's our upper level wave that is producing a few showers and thunderstorms, which will also give us a few showers and thunderstorms over the next few days. Also, we got this little wave down across southeastern parts of the U.S., which usually only happens in the late spring, summer. It actually moves west, but also at the same time, it kind of blocks our pattern up a little bit. So it keeps any big storm systems kind of shooting up across the northern plains, but you can see we get some moisture in here. But for the rest of the week, into the holiday weekend, we're going to be focused on this little upper level low that tries to get a little bit closer to us and giving us a little bit of moisture. But again, the good news here is we don't have any big severe weather threats, which is always great news in the month of May. All right, let's go through the night. I'm going to stop at 7 a.m. Lower 60s, partly cloudy. We still have these thunderstorms south of Wichita, just to the west of Tulsa. As we go through the morning, let's stop at noon. A few isolated little showers trying to pop up, and then a few isolated thunderstorms during the afternoon, especially on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Now, any thunderstorms that do fire will have the potential to produce some small hail, and maybe we can't rule out a low-grade severe thunderstorm, but these are mainly just going to be good old thunderstorms. As we go through the night, tomorrow night, lose the heating of the day, so we lose the storms. Here's 6 a.m. on Thursday, and then Thursday afternoon, very similar, scattered thunderstorms start to pop up once again as we head into the afternoon. All right, here's your day planner for you Wednesday, 64 to start. Scattered late morning, afternoon thunderstorms, but high temperatures right around 80 degrees, which is pretty good. 82 on Thursday, still some scattered thunderstorms. Very slight chance on Friday. Let's go into your holiday weekend. Pretty nice, 76 Saturday, 79 on Sunday. Memorial Day itself back into the 80s, and we could get some pop-up thunderstorms back in the forecast for us next week. But All in all, a pretty good forecast, and at least over the holiday weekend, mainly dry.
Yep, it's definitely looking good. Thank you, Doug. Coming up, coming down to the wire.
Debt ceiling talks continue behind closed doors, and the deadline is getting closer without any real progress. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with the latest coming up.
In a little more than a week's time, the U.S. government could be facing a default and be unable to pay its bills. While negotiations are ongoing, it seems there's a lot of talking but little compromise. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
Negotiators are back to work Tuesday behind the scenes after Monday President Biden and Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy met again in person. While the talks were described as productive, they've yet to produce any real compromise.
We're down to the wire. I mean, this is like the night before a college exam, and we're cramming, we're chugging Red Bull in the 11th hour.
June 1st is the deadline when the Treasury Secretary says the U.S. could run out of money to pay its bills. The economic repercussions of a default would be globally catastrophic.
What does default mean? It means 8.3 million jobs lost, 1.6 trillion wiped out from our economy, just to protect the very wealthy, the very rich from paying their fair share.
Right now, the challenge is finding a bill that will satisfy both far-right Republicans and progressives. Republicans want to see spending levels lowered and a lengthy 1% annual spending cap, while Democrats are pushing for shorter.
I would like it out longer. I think the country would be in a better shape, but nothing gets agreed to till everything gets agreed to.
The White House is also after a debt ceiling deal that extends past the 2024 election, and they want to raise revenue through taxes on the wealthy.
If everyone is working in good faith and recognizes that no one is going to get, either side is going to get exactly what they want, we'll get it done.
Even after a deal is cut, there is still more work to do. The specifics would have to be put in a bill, priced out, and given to lawmakers at least 72 hours before a vote. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The Federal Reserve has released its annual economic well-being of the U.S. households report, and the results show the toll inflation has inflicted on Americans. 73% of respondents said they're doing financially okay, down 5 points from 2021, while 35% of Americans said they're worse off, the highest level since 2014. The summer travel season unofficially starts this holiday weekend. AAA is predicting nearly 3.5 million Americans will take to the skies, which is why federal officials are working to make sure last year's wave of flight cancellations and delays don't happen again. With huge crowds expected at U.S. airports, the Department of Transportation has developed a twofold approach toward the airlines, working with them while also applying pressure if need be.
We're working collaboratively with the airlines wherever we can to take steps that are going to help them reduce congestion and increase capacity. And then when things go wrong, we're using our tools to press airlines to continue improving customer service and to continue improving performance.
The FFA projects more than 51,000 flights on Thursday alone. Secretary Buttigieg admits it will be, quote, a test of the system. Up next, we'll learn how much someone with no fear of spiders paid for this giant arachnid sculpture. An ultra creepy sculpture commanded a blood-sucking price at auction. A buyer paid $32.8 million for this 10-foot tall bronze spider, crafted by Luis Borges in 1996 and entitled creatively Spider. The sculptures is a part of a series. The French-American artist made many of them, which can be seen at some of the world's most prominent art museums. She didn't start sculpting spiders until she was in her 80s. Borges died in 2010 at 98 years old. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. The Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center is teaching people how to incorporate self-care into their daily routine. The Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center in Fort Scott is helping people focus more on self-care as we head into the summer. The center hosted a spring into summer self-care fair. It allowed people to connect with local self-care resources and taught them how to incorporate self-care into their daily routines.
May is Mental Health Month, and what better way to celebrate
Mental Health Month than to celebrate a little bit of self-care. It's something that none of us ever get enough of, something that we always probably need more of.
Self-care to me is a lot of different things. It could be an activity that I do, it can be people that I hang out with. Lately I've been doing a lot of knitting, a lot of project work, so that's my self-care right now.
The first 100 people who showed up to the fair received a free signature Mental Health Center Bluetooth speaker. The Special Olympics flame is on the way to the Missouri State Games in Columbia. Every year, the law enforcement torch run is coordinated and the Special Olympics flame takes its way around the state of Missouri leading into the Summer Games. The torch run began this morning at the Joplin Police South Station near 32nd in Indiana. They traveled north on Range Line to meet the Webb City Police Department. Webb City Police then handed off the torch at the kneeling minor statue to Jasper County Sheriff's deputies. The Summer Games will take place June 2nd through the 4th. It looks like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is finally ready to jump into the 2024 presidential race. Sources tell Fox News DeSantis will officially announce his candidacy tomorrow during a conversation with Elon Musk on Twitter. Along with his announcement, DeSantis is expected to file paperwork with the Federal Election Commission, a key step that allows him to start fundraising. DeSantis has been seen as the biggest competition on the GOP side to former President Donald Trump, though DeSantis has fallen behind in the polls as of late. A wild scene outside the White House last night when a huge U-Haul truck started slamming into some of the barricades in front of the president's home. A Missouri man is now facing some serious charges as authorities investigate what led to this dramatic crash. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has more of the chaotic collision from Washington.
Tense times outside the White House Monday night when a 20-foot-long U-Haul truck suddenly slammed into the barricades protecting the executive mansion. Fearing the worst and worried about the potential for terrorism, the Secret Service sprang into action.
Of course, you never know what's in a big truck like that. Yeah. I mean, just think back to Oklahoma City.
It's early in the investigation, but authorities think the driver crashed the truck intentionally. They've arrested 19-year-old Sai Varshith Kandula from Missouri. Not much is known about him at this point, but he's now facing serious charges, including assault with a dangerous weapon and threatening to kill or inflict harm on a president, vice president, or family member.
This is approximately, I'd say, 1, 2, 3 blocks away. Look how far they had to evacuate.
The scary scene caused all kinds of chaos and confusion and forced authorities to close surrounding streets and evacuate several nearby hotels.
It's a little crazy. Got the whole family in town for graduation and get evacuated from the hotel and don't really have too many options right now, so we're trying to hang tight.
Authorities say the driver was not armed and no firearms were found in the truck, but cameras caught police taking a Nazi flag into custody as evidence. Now, that flag is sure to pique the interest of investigators as they try to piece together a motive. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
A bit later, helping you catch some more Z's.
New research could help you get a better night's sleep, especially if you suffer from insomnia. I'm Jackie Ibanez. Those details straight ahead.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us again today. Partly sunny skies, temperatures a little bit warmer, but also the allergies a little bit higher on a scale of 1 to 12. Today is a 9.3 out of 12. Tomorrow a little bit better just because we're going to get a few scattered thunderstorms and that helps wash the atmosphere out just a little bit. Now, the main allergies that are affecting people right now is the grasses, the hickory, and the mulberry. So if you are an allergy sufferer, of course, these are going to stay kind of high as we go through the next few days. All right, great evening. We'll drop back to 65 by 11, 64 at 7 a.m. I think our overnight low right around 60. We may get a few scattered showers, a few scattered thunderstorms in here late morning on Wednesday, but we rebound right back to 74 degrees. But it's pretty quiet out there for us this evening. We do have those cumulus clouds that have been popping up. We can't rule out a random shower as we go through the night, but you can see all the bigger thunderstorms really from Wichita to Oklahoma City, and these are really going to hold fairly steady, meaning in this location most of the evening into the overnight hours for us tonight. But we do have a little bit of moisture eastern parts of Missouri, so we may get 1 or 2 stragglers that try to get in here a little bit later on tonight. But if we look at the picture as a whole, you can see this weak little twist and the upper level flow, and that's our upper level wave that is producing a few showers and thunderstorms, which will also give us a few showers and thunderstorms over the next few days. Also, we got this little wave down across southeastern parts of the U.S., which usually only happens in the late spring, summer. It actually moves west, but also at the same time, it kind of blocks our pattern up a little bit. So it keeps any big storm systems kind of shooting up across the northern plains. But you can see we get some moisture in here. But for the rest of the week, into the holiday weekend, we're going to be focused on this little upper level low that tries to get a little bit closer to us and giving us a little bit of moisture. But again, the good news here is we don't have any big severe weather threats, which is always great news in the month of May. All right, let's go through the night. I'm going to stop at 7 a.m. Lower 60s, partly cloudy. We still have these thunderstorms south of Wichita, just to the west of Tulsa. As we go through the morning, let's stop at noon. A few isolated little showers trying to pop up, and then a few isolated thunderstorms during the afternoon, especially on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Now, any thunderstorms that do fire will have the potential to produce some small hail, and maybe we can't rule out a low-grade severe thunderstorm, but these are mainly just going to be good old thunderstorms. As we go through the night, tomorrow night, lose the heating of the day, so we lose the storms. Here's 6 a.m. on Thursday, and then Thursday afternoon, very similar, scattered thunderstorms start to pop up once again as we head into the afternoon. All right, here's your day planner for your Wednesday. 64 to start, scattered late morning, afternoon thunderstorms, but high temperatures right around 80 degrees, which is pretty good. 82 on Thursday, still some scattered thunderstorms. Very slight chance on Friday. Let's go into your holiday weekend. Pretty nice, 76 Saturday, 79 on Sunday. Memorial Day itself back into the 80s, and we could get some pop-up thunderstorms back in the forecast for us next week. But all in all, a pretty good forecast, and at least over the holiday weekend, mainly dry.
Sounds good. Thank you, Doug. Some Joplin area residents got the chance today to take a moment to appreciate and learn more about the outdoor world. KOAM John Haudela joined a nature journaling program at the Missouri Department of Conservation Center and talked to residents as well as naturalists.
The Missouri Department of Conservation Center in Joplin provides a great spot for nature journaling.
Being outdoors in general is very therapeutic. Journaling is very therapeutic. We're putting the two together, so there's a lot of people who do find good therapy in keeping a nature journal, which is one of the many, many benefits of keeping a nature journal.
Some Joplin residents joined MDC naturalist Kenzie Tillman for her class about nature journaling, to draw and write down their observations in the nature. This is something Tillman has done for a while now. She says it's a way to express creativity and relieve stress.
It's a great way to kind of start getting you outside and start taking notice of some of those little details about nature that a lot of times we overlook.
Participants get to learn the basics about journaling and then head outdoors to do it themselves.
My mother-in-law used to do nature journaling, and I never did anything with it when she did, so I thought it would be cool to learn now.
The mother-daughter duo take a closer look at plants and flowers for their journaling exercise.
I love seeing the flowers blooming, watching the animals and the wildlife, and I like working in the garden and working in dirt, and all of that just is good therapy, that good fresh air.
Tillman says everybody can journal and make observations, whether it is on a nature trail or a backyard.
Now I've journaled about it, I know what it looks like, I remember where I saw it, and hopefully you get to see those things again and you're like, I know what that is, because I stopped and I paid attention to it.
In Joplin, Janna Haudela, KOAM News.
Tillman says if the class is something that gathers more interest by residents, they can make it happen more frequently. And coming up in sports, the Mount Vernon softball team hits the field for the Class II state championship in Springfield. Plus, the Fort Scott Tigers aim for their first state title in program history. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Well, today is the final day of the softball season for the Mount Vernon Mountaineers. And Mount Vernon gets a chance to play for a state championship this afternoon, facing West County in the finals of the Class II bracket. And Mount Vernon trying for their second state championship in program history. We'll start bottom first. Harley Daniels at the dish. Launches one to right, 2 hops the wall. Here comes Allie Schubert for the game's first run. And that gets the party started in the first for the Lady Mountaineers. 2 batters later, Cheyenne Bieber with a rocket to deep left. That's to the fence, plates 2 more. Mount Vernon pushes the lead to 3-zip, and they're not done. Hallie Stokes down the line here. That scores another. Mount Vernon plates 4 in the frame. And that was more than enough for Daniels. She throws a complete game, strikes out 9. Mount Vernon gets a shutout 6-0 to claim their second state title in program history. On the Kansas side, we have 5 local baseball teams headed to state this week. In Class 4A, 2 teams out of the SEK have made the state bracket in Chanute and Fort Scott. Now, Fort Scott has earned the number 4 seed in the 4A state bracket. They'll hit the field against Abilene on Thursday night in the state quarterfinals in Salina. The Tigers are 16-6 heading into the tournament, earning a regional title and the outright SEK League Championship along the way. Now here's the team on getting back to state and trying to earn their first state title in program history.
The board in our clubhouse has a space for state championships, and it's empty. And there have been a few teams where every time we head to the state tournament, I show them that and say, you guys could be the team, that put your number up here.
We look at that board every day, and there's been several teams go to state, win regionals, but there's never been that team that, got the state title, and that would mean a lot to have that plaque up there.
Fort Scott High School Tiger Baseball has definitely been worthy of that state title, and for us to be the first team to really go get that would just mean everything to everybody in there.
The best team doesn't always win. It's the team that plays the best. And so we just have to go play the best. And I think this team will be in the right headspace to do that.
A big game on the diamond tonight in Monette. The Cubs host the Nevada Tigers in the Class 4 sectional round, with the winner advancing to the state quarterfinals. That winner is Nevada. They go on to win at 13-2 in 6 innings. The Tigers face Springfield Catholic in the state quarterfinals on Thursday night. Now in Class 3, Battle of the Tigers here for a sectional title and a spot in the state quarterfinals. Lamar at home against Stockton. It's Stockton taking that one 9-3. Lamar finishes 14-14 overall this season. It's cool also for Fort Scott. Not only is the Fort Scott baseball team headed to state in Salina, the Fort Scott softball team headed to state too. So everybody's happy in Fort Scott right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we've got a few parades that'll be going around in the area real soon.
I love those. Those are a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to at least 1 or 2 next week.
For sure. All right, sounds good. We're back with more news after this. Imagine you're laying in bed trying to fall asleep. You feel a little restless, so you keep looking at the time, stressing about if you'll wind up getting enough sleep. It's a scenario we've all probably experienced before. But new research is offering up a simple trick that could help you get a better night's sleep, especially if you suffer from insomnia. Fox News correspondent Jackie Abanez takes a closer look.
For many of us, sleep is sacred, but whether you get a full 8 hours or not, most of us always want a little more. So how could we get it? The secret may lie in ditching our clocks in the bedroom. According to a new study from researchers at Indiana University, paying attention to the time as we're trying to fall asleep can worsen the symptoms of insomnia and increase the likelihood someone uses sleeping pills, gummies, or other remedies to get some shut-eye.
Overall, time monitoring behavior seems to affect the use of sleep aids primarily because it exacerbates insomnia.
People with insomnia usually have a harder time falling asleep, staying asleep, or not feeling well rested after waking up in the morning. The National Institutes of Health says the disorder can impact your concentration and memory. Chronic insomnia can even increase your risk for diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and cancer. But if you're like many people who stress over how long it'll take to fall asleep or when you'll need to get up, Spencer Dawson of Indiana University says the solution could be a simple one.
Turning the alarm clock around, covering it, putting it under the bed, putting any cell phones or smartwatches or regular watches out of sight, out of reach.
Dawson also recommends people with chronic insomnia work with a psychologist trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, which he says is a good supportive treatment for the sleep disorder. Jackie Abanez, Fox News.
Coming up, how a hockey event in Southeast Missouri is helping rescue dogs find new homes. When you think of hockey, you usually think of pucks, not pups. But an animal fundraiser features animals and slap shots, all for a good cause. Reporter Jeffrey Bullitt visits the annual Pucks for Paws in Southeast Missouri.
Hockey and dogs. both underneath the same roof, for the 5th annual Pucks for Paws. It's a roller hockey tournament to help spread love and raise funds for animals in need.
Good boy. What's it?
This is Buster.
Oh, I know. You love it.
And his temporary owner, Jen Farmer. She's the executive director of SEMO Pets.
He came to us about a month and a half ago. In very unfortunate circumstances, he had a gunshot wound to his face right here. It was wide open.
You can see Buster's scar on the side of his face, where the bullet hit.
It was, horrifying to think somebody could do that.
Farmer says the shelter is facing more and more cases similar to Buster's.
Something we see maybe 2-3 times a month, things of, the sort where somebody's thrown out of a car or, a leg broken or, like I said, a gunshot wound. We do see, very severe cases that we take care of, unfortunately.
Those kinds of things, they tug at your heartstrings.
Which is why Rob Kearns helps put this event together year after year with Cape Area Hockey.
Huge deal for us. We are going to pass the $20,000 lifetime donation mark, so that is fantastic. And every single dollar that we can donate to Southeast Missouri Pets, it gives another animal in that situation a fighting chance to find a home and at least be in a safe environment of the shelters.
That fight lives on through Buster, though. Right now, he's looking for his next forever family.
His personality is great. He loves everybody. And that's just, he's overcome whatever he had to go through, and he's just a perfect dog.
Man, that's our time for tonight, and thank you all so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave you with a video of a tree kangaroo at the Perth Zoo in Australia. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.